Arsenal vs Crystal Palace post-match reflection through the Canon lens. So, reflections on tonight's EFL Cup quarter-finals game against Crystal Palace. So, thoughts going into the match. Of course, saw the lineup. We knew it was going to be lots of rotation today. 7 changes. MLS, Norgard, Marino, Eze, Madueke, Jesus, and Martinelli all come in. So, yeah, first half, performance-wise, I thought we played really well. We're on the front foot. We're creating a lot of chances. I feel we should have been at least 3-0 up at half time. We just weren't clinical, and at half time I was just hoping when we get our next chance, we take it. Because if not, we're going to allow Palace, to build up, a bit of hope and get back into the game. Second half, of course, we came out and I felt our performances dipped slightly. I thought we allowed Palace back into the game. They started getting their foot on the ball, and it was more of a contest in the second half, quite even. It took us until the 80th minute to get a goal, again from a set piece, where we applied pressure and we forced another own goal, and gave us the 1-0 lead. And at the time I was just thinking, you know what, it's late on, 1-0, scrappy, we'll take it and, get through and move on to the next round. But, obviously, it's never that simple, is it? Let's be honest. With Arsenal, it's never that simple. And when the officials added 9 minutes of injury time, I was just like, my gut just said, you know what? They're going to score, aren't they? Just knew. Which they did. And it was 1-1. Again, needless free kick to give away. And then, we just conceded. And, it was so late in the game, I was thinking maybe we could try and nick it 2-1. That didn't happen. And then, it went to penalties, the dreaded penalties. I can't lie, I struggle with watching my team when they're in the penalty shootout. Anxiety levels, through the roof. It was just, it was really stressful, that. But when Saliba stepped up and scored and then Palace's defender missed, I just went, yes! I was just like over the moon. More of a relief that we got through. Wow, that was a game I won't forget. So we somehow won on penalties. I don't know, Arsenal, I don't know why you make it always hard for us, like us fans. I tell you, my anxiety, my stress levels in that penalty shootout wasn't good. I don't know how Arsenal keep putting us through that. But you know what? We're through. We're through to the semi-finals against Chelsea. It's going to be over 2 legs. First leg's at Stamford Bridge at their ground. Hopefully stay in the tie, and then second leg, bring them back to our stadium, Emirates, and hopefully win the second leg and go to the final. And we could play either Man City or Newcastle. Whoever we get, it's going to be a tough game. I'm just hoping we can go all the way and win this competition. I feel, the EFL Cup is the first trophy available to win. I feel winning this early on can psychologically benefit us going into all the other competitions. So I think it's vital that we try our best to win this. So analysing players' performances today, I thought Kepa came in, had a good game. Saving that penalty in the shootout was a defining moment. Our defence I thought did well. Timber, solid. Saliba was solid except for that rash moment where he gave away a needless free kick, which they scored from in the end. Apart from that, he was solid. Calafiori, I thought, done really well at centre-back today. He looked solid. And MLS, I thought, at left-back today, he had a good game. Better games than he's recently had. There was no defensive subs made tonight. Again, we're quite stretched at the back. So I feel that's the reason why we didn't make any subs. Midfield-wise, I thought Norgard came in. I haven't seen much of Norgard this season, but he came in today. Gave Zubimendi a rest, much-needed rest. And Norgard came in and I thought he had a good game today. Looked quite tidy. Of course, he's not as quick. Doesn't control the game as well as Zubimendi. But I still thought he had a good game today in there. Marino, again, had a good game. Made some nice passes as well. Eze, another quiet game tonight. Subs, Odegaard came in for Eze. I thought when he came on, took the captain's armband. He started trying to get on the ball, make things happen. I thought he had a good game. And then obviously Rice came on for Jesus to add some much needed energy in the midfield. Felt we needed that. And then attacking wise, Madueke had an average game tonight on the right. Obviously, we needed to give Saka a little rest, but you can see Jesus' sharpness. You know, he looks lively. Almost scored on a couple of occasions. Probably should have scored. You know, some great saves from the keeper. But he had a great game today. Martinelli was lively on the left wing today, very direct. You know, before coming off, I thought he took a knock. I think that's why we took him off. I'm hoping it's nothing serious. And yeah, Trossard came on for him. I thought Trossard, you know, he did well when he came on. Let's get on the ball, try to make things happen. And then Saka came on for Madueke later on as well. And I thought Saka did well as well. You know, always forward, trying to put balls into the box. You know, he was a threat. My man of the match today, though, I'm going to give it to Gabriel Jesus. He was my man of the match tonight. He looked really sharp today, really lively, you know. Only thing missing from his performance tonight was a goal, really. And thoughts on Arteta, manager, I think Arteta rotated the squad well. You know, a few players needed a rest and also gave another opportunity to some of the other players, you know, to get some game time, which is good for, you know, building that squad. The overall squad sharpness is very important. I think he's managing that well. And I would say, yeah, I think he made the subs at the right time, you know, and, you know, we got over the line. I know it took us to penalties, but we got over the line. So, yeah, can't fault Arteta, you know, today. I thought he did well. And yeah, just some thoughts on Crystal Palace. You know, I feel they've done really well even last season and this season. You know, Glasner's done an incredible job. He deserves a lot of credit for what he's done. Think about where they were and, you know, what he's done. He's won a cup with them. He's got them into, you know, Europa Conference League. Brilliant competition to be in for a team like Palace. Great community club. I have a lot of respect for Crystal Palace. They have an effective 3-4-3 system which works really well. They're very organised, they're defensively hard to break down, but they also play efficient football and they can create chances to score. You know, they can score in different ways as well, through set pieces as well. They're a very strong team, you know, and, you know, they're a little bit unlucky not to get anything from the game, because the second half they came into the game, they were brilliant, and, you know, it's just a penalty shootout, you know, that decided the tie. So that, you know, you've got to give, you know, credit to Crystal Palace for what they did today. They made it really difficult. And next game, we're back in Premier League action on Saturday. It's a 3 p.m. kickoff, and we're at home to Brighton in the Premier League. We will need to win to stay top, you know, ahead of City, because, you know, City at the moment, they just can't stop winning. Haaland can't stop scoring. They look a massive threat. So I'm hoping we can, obviously they play early, an earlier kickoff, and then we play. If we win, we go back top. And yeah, just to say, I appreciate anyone that took the time to listen to this reflection. It's a bit of a longer one today. I hope you could connect with it in some way. And as always, come on, you Gunners. And also, just like to say to all my followers out there, I'm wishing you all a Merry Christmas.